If you think Death Note, you probably think of Light Yagami as the first Death Note user, and yes, he is one of the first, but he's not the only one, and today we're going to be breaking down all the other ones in this video. But before we do get into it, a like and subscribe is always appreciated, and I'm not going to waste too much time on the intro because this video will probably take a while because there are quite a few. So Light Yagami, although the most obvious pick, he is one of the best users because his whole goal and whole idea is to eliminate evil and make the world a better place. But in doing so, it kind of corrupts him, and then he kind of becomes what he wanted to destroy. He's kind of a user that, like, without him, some of the other users wouldn't have appeared because of the ideas that he brought. Like, obviously Mikami, for example, without Light, Mikami wouldn't exist, and neither would Misa. And like Shinigami is obviously Ryuk, he's the one who gives him the notebook in the first place, but a lot of the other users also have different Shinigamis. So like many other creators who have done videos on this topic, I will be giving each Death Note user a rating out of 5. And Light, he gets a 4.5, mainly because his ideas at first are really strong, but he kind of falls to his own ego towards the end. Now, Misa Amane is another Death Note user who is active at the same time as Light, and commonly referred to as Kira 2. This is because throughout majority of the story, Light and Misa kind of share a partnership. What's different about Misa is she isn't just doing it to get rid of evil, she also does genuinely love Light. And throughout the story, we kind of see Light manipulate Misa and use that to his advantage. But unlike Light, Misa has her own Shinigami called Rem. Light also seems to use Rem to kind of get what he wants as well. And now for her overall rating, I'm going to give her a 3.5 stars, mainly because she kind of just followed what Light told her to do and didn't really have any intellect behind what she was doing. She kind of did it out of drive for her love for Light, and some of her slip-ups genuinely nearly got Light caught. But overall, she did serve some relevance to the story, so I will give her credit for that. Now, Mikami is a slightly different one because although he is like Misa in the sense he is also a second Kira, he follows orders a lot better than she does. His whole premise revolves around the idea of justice, and people who don't follow justice should be deleted. What helps Mikami's case as well is him and Light also have the same motive, so it helps Mikami perform well with the Death Note. It was also stated ever since Mikami was a child, he had a very strong sense of justice. And he kind of fulfills what Misa never could, being the perfect disciple to Light and being the second Kira. But ultimately, towards the end, like Light, he did fail because of his own ego, and then he messed up the whole plan for Light as well, which also caused Light's death. So for that, I'm going to have to give him a 4 out of 5. He is a really strong Kira, but ultimately he did mess up because of his ego as well. He also relies too heavily on Light's orders and never thinks for himself. He always, acts as that perfect disciple instead of his own individual character. Now, if many of you remember, Higuchi is a Death Note user who was given the Death Note by Light when he was getting heavily suspected by L. And now, even though his motives aren't the strongest, they're still there. He has lust for power and money, and his whole character is basically greed. And how Higuchi used it is very abstract, to say the least. He had 7 subordinates who kind of helped him choose who to kill, and the killing would affect the stock of Yotsuba. And in all fairness, in doing so, it actually raised the stock significantly, and they all had like a financial benefit. But overall, my boy's kind of a fraud. He did get caught in like a couple episodes, so overall he's getting a 2 out of 5 stars. Now, the thing about Takada is she performs a lot like Mikami does, in the sense that she is also one of Light's most loyalist followers as well, and was able to do things when Light couldn't at the time. She sometimes did stray away from what Light truly believed in though, because at the one point in the story she was on the news and she did say that Kira will be punishing innocent people if they're lazy or unwilling to work. She was also similar to Misa in the sense where she put a lot of hope into Light and truly believed what Light was fighting for. And the fact she probably killed no one before this, and for her to just agree with Light straight up, it kind of proves her loyalty to Light. And unlike Misa, she kind of did have thinking behind what she believed in as well. But overall, she gets a 3.5. She was a good help to Light, but she just wasn't as good as Mikami. Now next we have L, and I know what you're thinking. You don't think he's a Death Note user, and yes, he hasn't used the Death Note, but he has been in possession of the Death Note, so that technically makes him a user. He also did have full intent to use it as well, so it's not like he just had it, he was planning to use it. Although he didn't use it to kill anyone, he did make direct conversation with Ryuk and learn like the abilities of it and the rules and things like that, so he was a quick learner when it came to the Death Note. But what severely limits him is the knowledge we have on if he could use it or not well. So for that, I'm going to have to give him a 1 star. He didn't do too much with it, so there's not really a lot to say on L. Now, Taro is a quite obscure character to say the least. He's not actually canon in the main story. He's actually the protagonist for the pilot of Death Note. And in this pilot, he uses it to kill a few bullies. Now, he was caught onto quite fast by the police, and they kind of knew this because of an event that happened a couple years prior, where a bunch of people died from heart attacks. He is also another Death Note user, that person, but he is a no-name character, so of course we won't include him, but he is another user. Now, Taro, obviously being 13 at the time, he couldn't handle he killed other people, so Ryuk obviously offers him something called a death eraser, which never made it into the main story, but he uses this to erase the deaths that were already done. It's found out later on another Death Note is also dropped in this pilot, and another person also has it, not just Taro. What's funny is they burn the other Death Notes apart from his, and years later they make like a parody of Death Note called Death Note in this like kind of spin-off. Now overall, I'll give him a 3 out of 10 because he was a good Death Note user, but he didn't do the most with the ability he had, and arguably he was one of the better users and used it to do like decent good, I would say. Now, C Kira, also known as Cheap Kira, is also kind of a fraud. Now, let me explain. So first off, his morals were only to kill the elderly and the sick people. Now, in doing so, he decreased the Japanese living expectancy to 6th place when it was originally 1st. So this kind of gives us an idea of how many people he probably killed, and it's probably somewhere similar to Light. But basically, his story ends because Nia kind of called him out for being a fraud, and let's just say he wrote his own name in the Death Note. He also did start killing young people who were asking for it as well. But what's different about him, he did have his own Shinigami, and instead of liking apples like Ryuk, this one liked bananas, which I thought was pretty cool. I think overall we could give him 3.5 stars. He did a good job with his book, but kind of went out like a coward, so that was kind of sad to see. But he did also help old people out in the process. Now, Minoru is the user after Cheap Kira, and on top of that, he is one of the smartest kids in Japan at that point. And he comes to a major idea, and his idea is he doesn't want to kill anyone, he just wants to sell the Death Note and make loads of money. So that's exactly what he does, and with the help of Ryuk, they end up selling the Death Note, but they do it in a smart way, where it can almost not be traced. And how they did this is the Death Note actually got sold for 10 trillion. So basically, he distributed all the money between certain people with certain criterias, so it almost got split between loads of people, and they all earned 10 million each. So it was almost impossible to find out who the real Kira was. And you know what's funny? The person who bought the Death Note was Donald Trump. The one-shot is really good, so I totally recommend reading it. It's just a lot of information to note down here. Another thing he also did is he also outsmarted Nia, which is a feat alone. So overall, I'll give him a 4 out of 5. He is a really smart user and a contender to Light Yagami as well. Now, Raye Penber was one of the investigators who was tasked in looking into Light to try and find the suspect who could be Kira. And in doing so, he was forced to write his colleagues' names inside the notebook, even though he didn't know he was actually killing them. And in doing this, he thought he could force L out of hiding and reveal his actual face. And then just after, for his name to be written in the Death Note as well, and him to be killed. And what's funny is Light promised to not hurt his wife if he did this, but he also killed his wife afterwards. Now, there's not too much to say about this user. He was pretty pointless and was kind of thrown away afterwards. He literally gained absolutely nothing from doing this, and he killed his colleagues, and he died, and his wife died, so it's a win in nobody's books. And for that, he gets a 1 star because he literally benefited nobody but Light. Now, this one is another obvious one because Soichiro Yagami did actually use the notebook when trying to find out Mellow's real name, and he made good use of it as well because he got the Shinigami eyes, and he was able to prove what Mellow's real name was. Unfortunately, his use of the notebook wasn't too long, so we don't have any long-term evidence of how he would perform. His dad was also able to give Light the kind of green flag, And he proved he was innocent because he could see the lifespan above his head. And someone with a Death Note, you just can't see their lifespan, so he also kind of cleared Light, which helped Light kind of move the story forward. Overall, I'll give him a 4 stars. For the time he had the Death Note, he did make good use of it. Even if it was limited, he still did a good job as the role of the Death Note user at the time. Now, there are a variety of small characters who did get the Death Note, who I'm not going to actually include in this video, mainly because they didn't have enough information on them, they either didn't have enough screen time, or they were just unnamed characters. But luckily for you, I'll put all their names up on screen of the people who did actually have the Death Note, but I'm not going to be talking about any of them individually. And now for their star rating. They unfortunately don't get one because of the variety of Death Note users there are in this bunch. There are some really good ones and some really bad ones. Mostly just randoms though. Now, anyway, that will conclude this video. If you guys did enjoy this kind of longer form of videos, make sure to like and subscribe, because if you enjoy them, I will continue doing more, but it just does take a little longer in production. If you guys have got any other suggestions for videos like this, do give me a comment down in the comment section. But overall, I love making this video. This is literally one of my longest videos I've done within the last year, and I know 11 minutes isn't that long, but it's long for me because usually my videos are like 5 minutes. But yeah, if you guys did enjoy, make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll catch you in my next video. Have a good one, guys.